So I've been covering the Weekly Shonen Jump magazine for about 3 years. It was then when Viz released their new Shonen Jump subscription, finally gave us access to everything that was in the magazine. And since then, every few months, I would come back, take a look at all the things that have been happening since then, give you my thoughts on the stuff I'm keeping up with, all my new stuff. And yeah, just recently, the other week, I posted the last of those. However, I wanted to make one more video, sort of looking back at everything. At all of it. At every manga we've talked about in this series of videos. So let's take a trip down memory lane and remember some of these series. Most of these are going to be the axed ones. And honestly, when I was making this list, I'd forgotten some of them. But I will be sprinkling in like the more successful series that we've covered, like to break up the pace a bit. And yeah, and afterwards then I asked you guys for some things, some final thoughts you had to say as well. So I'm going to read those out at the end and also give a bit more details about if I'm going to be covering this stuff on my new channel and how that's going to work. Also a note, I'm not going to be touching on the new series that I covered last time because I literally just covered them. So, yeah. So starting off with Jujutsu Kaisen, this was a series I had read for the first time. I checked it out once the Shonen Jump subscription came out. It had been going for quite a while at that point. The anime had not started, but it already had a pretty sizable fan base. And I infamously did not really like it when I first read it. And I think what happened is I had just been reading a lot of new manga at that point, and I was kind of burnt out by the time I got to Jujutsu Kaisen. So when it presented admittedly not the most engaging and original start and premise, I sort of just wrote it off. Big mistake, because when I eventually did get back into it, I ended up really loving it. And right now, it's definitely one of my favorite things in the magazine. I think it's been going strong ever since I caught up to it. Really enjoying it, and I think the anime is great too. Can't wait for season 2. Love this one. Dr. Stone is another that when I first read it, I was so into it that instead of putting it in the original video, I made a separate video on Dr. Stone because I was enjoying it so much. It fell off. I really loved it for like a good long while, but I think like the last half of it or so, especially the last arc, really left a lot to be desired. The series, I think, wasted a lot of its potential. It just rushed through so much. It was really unfortunate to see what happened to it, but, you know, I still appreciate what it did, and I still do really love the start of the series and would recommend it to people. Neolation was a series about a hacker, and now this is going to be pretty common, but I don't remember much about this one. I read a few chapters, I thought it was boring. That's how it'd be, okay? A lot of these Axe series, you can kind of tell from the start they're going to be Axe. There are exceptions, but a lot of these, like, you could tell they were missing something. They were missing that spark of creativity, of originality, of confidence. Like, I think that's something that a lot of these series miss. And yeah, this was unfortunately one of them. Hell Warden Higuma was another one. Now, I actually did like this one when it first started. I read a few chapters. I thought it was fun. I thought it was cool. Then I didn't read any more and it got cancelled, so. Although I find it really funny and ironic that in that first original video, I said that I enjoyed it more than Chainsaw Man. Now, I always liked Chainsaw Man from when it started, but I also, like, back then, I considered it, like, mindless popcorn entertainment, which is so funny looking back on things, because Chainsaw Man became obviously so much more than that and became one of my favorite series ever, and it, of course, is still continuing on, and it's absolutely wonderful. The new anime is fantastic. I'm just so glad that this series became so popular, because it's awesome. The last Sayuki was, like, a boy protecting his sister. This one I remember being really bad. Demon Slayer! Woo! Another one that sort of like Jujutsu Kaisen. I read the first bit of it. Didn't like it at all. And honestly, I still stand by the start of Demon Slayer not being that great, and I'm definitely not surprised that it was, you know, a bit of an underperformer when it first came out. Not enough to get cancelled, but, you know, people didn't care all that much. Wow, though, how the turntables, because not only did Demon Slayer become one of the most popular manga of the era, but one of the most popular manga of all time, selling, I think, 82 million copies in 1 year, doubling One Piece's record from about 10 years ago. I think the only series that beats it in per volume sales is, like, Blackjack. And that shit's been out for like 50 years. Demon Slayer's been out for like 5. So yeah, good for it, I suppose. I did eventually read it all, and I think it's fine. You know, a lot of people will be like, Demon Slayer is overrated crap, and I'm like, well, okay, anything that big is overrated, but also, I also think the series is kind of overhated. Like, I don't really see the big problem with Demon Slayer. Like, it's a fine, fun, decent shonen. It has, you know, funny characters and good action. And, you know, that's all people want sometimes, and I think it delivers on that pretty well. Aside from, you know, the rough start, I think, you know, it finds its identity and just becomes an enjoyable, light ride throughout the whole thing. And yeah, so while, yeah, people be crazy, gassing it up all the time, it doesn't really bother me, and I think people calling it, like, oh, one of the worst disgraces to anime ever are fools. This series is one of the series that, like, caused this huge manga explosion in the West that we've been seeing since COVID started, and honestly, I respected a lot for that. Yui Kamio Lets Loose. I think this was like a split personality or romantic comedy. Whatever, I don't... Double Taisei, this was a shogi manga, I believe, which also had, like, a double personality. Like, he had, whenever he fell asleep, he would, like, wake up as a different person, and, like, they were playing shogi. One Piece, another one that got cancelled. I don't really know, like, the entire Wano arc, like this entire string of me making these videos happened during Wano. That's ridiculous. But yeah, One Piece had been in Wano for years. It was the longest arc by far. And after finally catching up to it recently, I also think it was a pretty great arc, and definitely my favorite of the New World. I'm super excited to see where One Piece is going next. Beast Children was a rugby manga that got cancelled. Tokyo Shinobi Squad. This one was notable for the fact that it had something called the Justin Bieber incident, and I do think it's unfortunate. I don't think we ever found out just what that was. But yeah, another one that sort of failed to connect with people. Dr. Stone Reboot was a small, short, one-volume backstory of Senku's father. I remember it starting off pretty interesting, but then got really stupid by the end. It had something to do with some robot or something, you know, whatever. Samurai 8. This was insane. This was fucking... This was probably the most insane thing that happened while covering Shonen Jump, of course. Masashi Kishimoto, one of the most influential mangaka of all time, creator of Naruto, comes back with his first new series in a while. Massive deal. Huge marketing push from Shueisha. Got a Viz release confirmed in English way before the volumes even came out in Japan. And it was a flop. It flopped hard. And I did actually read this entire series. I have a full review for it. And wow, like... It was really weird to see Kishimoto falling into so many traps that a lot of these Axe manga have, but the series was just so bloated, and you can tell they were trying to save this one because they had put so much into the marketing for it. With, you know, things constantly being changed up, but the sales, it just was not meeting expectations, not by a long shot, so they cut it short, and yeah, geez, then Kishimoto went to go work on Boruto some more, so that's rough, buddy. Mitama Security, I remember this one being a less good Mob Psycho, just about like some Ghostbuster guys going around, and I think it ran a bit longer than I expected. This is sort of when I realized, like, a lot of these gag manga, Jump goes a lot easier on them, and I think it's because, you know, it takes time for them to build up bigger audiences. Oftentimes they rely on, like, their anime, or maybe younger children readers, but yeah, rip. Act Age was my favorite manga in the magazine for a while, so yeah, of course, Of course, it got cancelled after the writer was revealed to be a pedophile. Very unfortunate stuff. Fuck, man. I still recommend supporting Usazaki, the artist. She still gets a lot of work. She hasn't, I don't think, worked on a manga since Act Age. I really hope she does come back someday. Aka Akazaka team up. Oh, that would be my dream. Oh. Also, I've said this before, but since there's no legal way to read Act Age anymore, with it being pulled off of everything, I think it's fine if you go and pirate it and enjoy it, because I do think it's a great series. Just never support this. I know it's fucking Japan. This writer, I would not be surprised if he tried to make a comeback one day. But also, if you never want to read the series because of that, absolutely, totally understandable. Zipman! Zipman was a phenomenon, okay? This was a big deal. This was a big deal. I mean, the series itself it got canceled in like two volumes. This was a short one, but man, this was when I sort of discovered the cutthroat world of Shonen Jump Discord servers. You know how every manga has a big Discord server? It's really interesting how these things start. It was brought to my attention when I realized there was a Zipman Discord before the series had even started, and I'm like, what's this? Why would they do this? And so what actually happens is that people make Discord servers before the series start, just in case they become a hit, because if they do, then they'll already have the Discord there. And if the series fails, they will just simply change the server to something else. So this Zipman server I had joined as a joke was previously the Tokyo Shinobi Squad Discord server. Oh man, these servers are crazy, and they're kind of sad because they're mostly always Act series, and you can tell from a mile away, and it's just people like coping. Yeah, but honestly, I had a fun time in this server. After Zipman ended, it went on to become the Bone Collection server, which was probably the bleakest time in that server's history. Bone Collection might be the worst one I've read out of all of these. Bone Collection was very rough, so it wasn't surprising at all to see that one go. We'll put a pin in this, come back to the server later, and I'll let you know how it's doing now. My Hero Academia is a series I've been following for a very long time, as you know, and I am quite a big fan of it. Not much more to say. I talk about it all the time, because it's always here. It is ending soon, which is exciting, and I'm hearing the new season of the anime has picked things up again, and that the anime is good again. That's great. Awesome. Cool. Time Paradox Ghostwriter is another pretty notable one, because I think the initial first chapter hook was great. It felt super unique and original. This mangaka who was sort of like peeking into the future and plagiarizing manga from the future. I thought it was super cool. And then it immediately fell apart in chapter 2 and ended up getting the quickest cancellation out of all of these series, with I think only 13 or 14 chapters. I think it had to do with the plagiarism thing. Apparently people reacted very negatively to the main character being a plagiarist. And honestly, yeah, I kind of understand, like, you don't really want to root for this guy at all, but oh man, that was a rough one. And I did read the whole thing. I regret it. Mission Yozakura Family is one of those ones that I expected to get axed, but was then very surprised to see it go on and become a decent-sized hit. I mean, it just got an English release. I think it's even getting an anime. It's still not like a huge seller. It's definitely one of the, weaker performing mainstays of the magazine, but it has a fan base. Good for it, I suppose. I was never really into it. It's like a assassin family that the guy, like, is forced to marry into or something, whatever. Burn the Witch was Tite Kubo's big return to the magazine, and he fared much better off than Kishimoto. So far, it was only like, I think, a 4-chapter miniseries that got turned into a movie, and I think there are plans to bring it back, but it has been a while. But yeah, it was fine for what it was. I mean, as you know, not a big Bleach fan. Kubo's got a lot of style. He's a good artist. He's good at drawing. Yeah. Undead Unluck ended up also becoming a smaller hit with, a English release in anime, that whole thing. One that I did not like at first and promptly dropped it. I have heard from a lot of people keep telling me that the first few chapters are kind of lame and then it picks up significantly. So this will be one that I probably check out at some point in the future again. Not really anytime soon, because I'm not really itching for that type of series right now, but maybe when the anime starts, you know how it is. Haikyuu is probably my favorite manga we're going to be discussing today. I think this series is fucking incredible. As someone who is not a fan of volleyball really at all, I think it is super intense. The games are fantastically drawn and engaging. The characters are very lovable. They go through a lot of shit. It's really great seeing them overcome stuff. Right up until the end, I thought this series was an absolute joy, and I was very sad that I had not been reading it longer, because I sort of only read the whole thing once the series ended. And yeah, I kind of wish I had just been following it along for the ride this whole time. But alas, I wasn't. But, looking at the full picture, I think the series is fucking amazing. Not too thrilled about that 2-movie plan they have to finish it up. Probably already heard, but this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. Guardian of the Witch, another generic fantasy crap. This was not a very good one at all. However, generic fantasy crap that was pretty good ended up being Mashle. I love this series from the minute it started. It's so shameless, and I love that about it. Like, it's just Harry Potter. That's all this world is, except we have the main guy, no magic, uses his muscles, It's hilarious. I love it. I think the series has been in quite the slump recently because our main guy, Mash, has not been present in it. I think that's a huge mistake, and it is really hurting the series for me. But I do believe that once he eventually comes back, things will pick up again, and overall we'll have a pretty decent series on our hands. It will be getting an anime next year, I think. And yeah, I think it'll be a fun watch. We Never Learn was a series I enjoyed for a good while. This is very, like, standard shonen rom-com, not much, it's full of tropes, but I did think it was pleasant enough, it was cute enough, and oftentimes funny enough for me to be mildly invested. However, I do think as it went on, it started to drag out a lot longer than it needed to. Things were stagnant, as is a problem a lot of these series run into. And I think the ending sequence was just very lazy and sort of just made no sense, and I was not a fan of it at all. So I ended up coming away thinking this one not very good. Mori King was a weird one about like a naked bug man playing with children. So I'm not really too bummed about that one being gone. Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs was the porn series, like the token porn series. The Shonen Jump's always got like one of those going on. I don't think they actually have one of those right now. But yeah, we'll get to that. Haunted Hot Springs was garbage. It was like dog shit. It was really, really bad. Like this guy, he's living in a haunted hot spring with a bunch of young girl ghosts who are always naked. Yeah, terrible. Our Blood Oath was fucking nonsense. This was like an AI generated manga. Like nah. I love me a good vampire story. This was not one. The Promised Neverland. It's kind of sad because this series sort of chronicled the downfall of The Promised Neverland. And yeah, it's not something I like to think about. This was, of course, one of the best starts to a manga I just ever seen, period. And it's going strong for a while, but then it really just, like, trips up and falls flat on its face. Now, the second season of the anime sort of made the manga look a bit good in comparison, but still, overall, not too thrilled with how that went. So back to the server. After Zipman ended, it was replaced with Phantom Seer, which was an interesting case because this series seemed like it was not going to be cancelled. It was pretty decent. I wasn't super big on it, but it was a lot better than a lot of series that come out of Shonen Jump. And it actually debuted with pretty decent sales numbers. So, you know, being in this server at the time, everyone was pretty optimistic. Until, of course, it did end up getting canceled, and people were pretty shocked about it. Me too. I really did not expect this one to get canceled at all. Like, it was getting pretty decent sales. Like, stuff that had sold less have stuck around, so I still really don't know what was going on there. But yeah, alas, that's how it be. The server changed one more time, and finally the curse was actually broken because they switched over to Blue Box, which of course became a huge hit, and I'm a very big fan of Blue Box as well. Nice, wholesome, cute. Love it. Black Clover is a thing. This, like, I have never been interested in Black Clover at all. I've tried to get into it multiple times. People tell me, oh, it's good now. I don't care. This stuff, like, no. I do not. No. Yo, it's so clean. He got the drip, man. Shut up. Just shut up. High School Family and Me and Roboco are interesting ones because they both seem to bomb on release. I didn't really like either of these. I thought they were pretty dumb. That's all I really have to say about them. And they don't sell very well, but they somehow have stuck around for a very long time at this point. Me and Roboco is actually getting like an anime, which is nuts. Again, you know, it's the thing where, you know, they go easier on gag manga, but I feel like they've gone much easier on these series than a lot of others. So yeah, I know they have their fans. In fact, I know a lot of people really enjoy these, but yeah, I don't think these are for me at all. But, you know, good for the fans, I suppose. You're actually getting, you're actually getting some mileage out of these ones. So after Yuna ended, the next porn series they had was Ayakashi Triangle from Kenyabuki. This guy's a veteran. He'd made a lot of ecchi manga in the past, so, you know, it wasn't a huge surprise that, you know, he got his demographic invested in this one. It was a body swap manga. you know how it goes. But what's interesting is they actually pulled it out of the main magazine and moved it over to, I think, Jump Plus, because I think it was a bit too much for the Shonen Jump reader base. Like this series really pushed it. Like before it left the magazine, like Viz actually was not publishing certain chapters because of how I guess explicit they were. So yeah, I mean, fuck around with the Shonen Jump censors and find out, I guess. So Build King, you know how I was talking about, you know, I'm worried that the Act Age writer will come back. But yeah, here we have another pedophile writer making his, you know, big return to Shonen Jump with Build King, and thankfully it failed pretty hard. This one was quite bad. In fact, now that I think about it, I might have disliked this one the most. And obviously I have a bias because, you know, fuck this dude, but also it was pretty nasty. It was trash, man. A-Gravity Boys was a really stupid manga about a bunch of guys who had to pick one of them to turn into a girl so they could have sex with them. And it was not very good or funny, in my opinion. Again, it lasted a bit longer than I expected, but after a year or so, it was out of here. Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin. I kind of enjoyed the small bit of this one I read. Of course, didn't end up being a hit, got axed, but I just found the image of this giant dolphin cop and no one questioned him was just hilarious. However, this series did start up in the summer of 2020, and let me tell you, that was a bad time to be cop-related media. The Elusive Samurai is the return of Yusei Matsui after his smash hit Assassination Classroom, and this seems to be shaping up to be a pretty big hit as well. Why? I have no idea. I don't know anyone who's reading this, I don't know anyone who likes it, I don't know how it got an English release. This is insane. I feel like I'm going insane. And honestly, after this video, I might never think about it again, because I won't have to, but geez, man. ITEL C was another really bad one about a detective. That's all there is to that, really. Sakamoto Days, however, was fantastic, and I still haven't, you know, caught up to this one, but I really enjoyed it. It's doing a lot of great, cool things. I love the characters. It's becoming a big hit, rightfully so. Cannot wait to see where it goes in the future. Nine Dragons Ball Parade was another sports series. At this point, there had been a pretty big like sports drought after Haikyuu ended. Beast Children, of course, didn't really do much. Then you had this baseball one, didn't really do much either. Talked about Blue Box, but I'm pretty sure this came after that and sort of ended the drought. But yeah, it was a little weird because there was usually always like this, you know, flagship sports series, and even now I don't really consider Blue Box a flagship sports series. So yeah, has been a bit weird to not have one of those for a bit. Witch Watch is a series I really like, from an author I really like. Go read Astra if you have not. It is wonderful. But yeah, it had like a pretty similar concept to Blue Box, which was a bit weird because they came out so close to each other, but obviously a lot more fantastic, a lot more magical, a lot more of just like a goofy comedy series. It's very episodic, although it does have some action and some, you know, overarching stories going on. But the fact that this got snubbed out of a fucking English release, I will never forgive Viz for. Oh my god. Especially when fucking Red Hood is getting an English release. Why? Are you guys cracked? Now listen, the start of Red Hood, I actually liked it. I thought, you know, whoo mama. But it got pretty boring. It got canceled. But it's still getting like a physical English release. I don't get it. I don't get why Barrage got an English release before Horikoshi was famous. Why do all of these random, weird, out of nowhere canceled series get English releases over stuff that's actually popular? Like maybe they just think that these series will be more popular in the West so they can sell a bit more. But like everyone knows, like you do like a Google search on these series, you find out they get canceled, no one's going to want to buy it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Candy Flurry had like a fun concept of just this girl swinging around a giant lollipop. I don't really remember much else about it. Next, Neru Way of the Martial Artist was a martial arts manga that was very forgettable. This was one of the more like recent ones. Literally, it had slipped my mind completely. Magu-chan, God of Destruction, another gag manga that lasted longer than I expected. It was like this little girl with the God of Destruction, but the joke was that he was like a cute little alien guy and they would go on misadventures. There you go. Now rapid fire, because all of these are pretty recent. We had Ayashimon, which I like the start of it. Didn't really click with people. That was it. Protect Me Shugamaro, this was crap. PPP, somehow ended up being a hit. It got snubbed out of an English release like Witch Watch, sadly. I didn't really care about this one, and I think it has probably the ugliest art style. It's more of an interesting style than like a lot of the more generic stuff, but it was really off-putting for me, but whatever. Doron, another very bad generic action series. Earthchild, I don't know what the hell was going on with this one. Super Smartphone, fun premise, I guess. Not, like I said, not the worst magical smartphone manga I've read. And we're going to finish off with two great series. Of course, Akane Banashi, one of my new favorites. It's very, very good so far. And last but not least, Hunter x Hunter. Back in the magazine, where it belongs. If Haikyuu is my favorite manga here today, then Hunter x Hunter is definitely my favorite action manga, my favorite battle manga. It is wonderful and cannot sing its praises enough. You guys know it. It's Hunter x Hunter. So let's read some comments here. I asked you guys, it was sort of like a last minute thing, so I didn't get as many comments as like a Q&A would. And honestly good, because I don't want this to be too long, but yeah. TikTok Exposed want to know if this means I'm done making shonen manga reviews. So everyone knows I'm leaving now at this point, right? Like everyone knows the channel is going to be retired at the end of the month, except for the podcast. I've mentioned this in like every video since I made that announcement, and people are still asking me about. Here's the plan for the new channel in terms of manga, okay? I will give a more detailed plan on like the actual content about like more fantasy, horror, novel type things I'll be doing. I'll be letting you guys know all of that, but as the plan is for manga, what's going to be happening is that there will be times where I might want to make a, full video on a series, but most of the manga I read are going to be featured in videos similar to, this series. But instead of just Shonen Jump, I'll be sort of doing an umbrella for all the manga I have been reading recently, whether that be full series, things I'm keeping up with, new series. That's what those videos will be. They will be about as frequent as, the Shonen Jump videos, so maybe like 2 or 3 a year. But yeah, I will not be giving up manga content, so you will still be getting stuff from me there. And that will include Shonen Jump manga, and it will include other manga as well. So yeah, I'm not going to be making an effort to be reading everything in the magazine anymore. Like if some new series comes out that I'm not interested in, I probably won't read it, at least not right away. But yeah, I'll still be reading manga. Not as much, but it'll be there. Favorite era of Shonen Jump? It's kind of hard to pick this one. A lot of people look at the past with rose-colored glasses. People are always like, yo, back in the 90s, we had Kenshin, Dragon Ball, JoJo, Slam Dunk, all this good shit. I'm like, yeah, but also, how much crap was there that you don't know about? There's probably like 10 other terrible series running at the same time. I mean, I did enjoy this era for all its ups and downs. I mean, just the fact that I got to cover it so extensively with you guys. So I would probably pick like the late 2010s out of anything. But yeah, on a similar note, I'm asked about the future of Shonen Jump again, which is stuff I've discussed before in the past, but I guess I will reiterate. This comment is focusing on the obvious trend that has been happening since, Shonen Jump got its new senior editor, where they seem to be favoring multiple shorter hits rather than a few super long-running ones. Because back in the day, the original goal was to just get the manga running as long as humanly possible, or at least as long as it was still commercially viable. But now they seem to be favoring shorter series so, they could maximize volume sales because more people will want to go out and buy a shorter series, and also you could tell a complete story, get a complete anime adaptation. And it has been working. Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, Promised Neverland. There have been so many shorter hits that have just blown up far beyond a lot of these longer running series do. But now that we've had a lot of these, a commenter is wondering if this is sort of a problem. If this push for shorter series limits other series and their potential, as like stuff like The Promised Neverland, Dr. Stone could have been a lot better if they had a lot more time to flesh things out. But you see, I think it really depends on a lot of different factors. Like, how much freedom do they have to end their series? Like, are they given a limit? Are they told to just not wrap it up and to keep going? We don't really know any of these things. Some series that are short end up being a mess because they didn't have enough time. Some series that are long end up being way too bloated because they have too much time. It really depends, I think, on the skill of the author and editors to, you know, figure out what's right for this certain series. And as for like the future, we've been having this discussion for a while, with, you know, a bunch of new series ending, a bunch of flagships ending. I mean, One Piece will literally likely be gone in like 5 years or so, which is crazy to think about. And I say what I always say, I just think that there's demand for good series, and the good series will come. It doesn't always feel like the huge hits are happening, because, you know, not every new manga in this magazine is a big hit, obviously, but they will happen, slowly but surely, and I think the magazine will be fine going into the future. Do I ever plan on revisiting anything I have ever reviewed, like on my new channel? I mean, maybe like when My Hero ends, I'll probably make like a dedicated video to that, you know, stuff like that. But as for like full complete series reviews, I don't really know. Aside from just like general recommendations I might do, I don't think I'd do like a full review of something like Monster ever again, even if I do reread it, because, you know, I feel like, you know, I've said my piece on it. Are there any more genres I'd like to see at a Shonen Jump? Horror, and not like this fucking goofy ass Demon Slayer type horror. I mean like real horror. Give me some of that juice. Am I going to catch up to Hunter x Hunter? Yes, eventually. It's not really on my radar now. I've been reading a lot of manga. I'm ready to just take a big long break from manga, but yes, I love Hunter x Hunter. I'll catch up at some point. Ooh. Now, out of all these manga, are there any that I think had the most potential to be something good? I definitely, the ones that like I liked from the start, I think stuff like Ayashimon, or Phantom Seer, like I think these are ones that could have been really big. I still don't really understand what happened with Phantom Seer. Even Time Paradox ghostwrote to an extent, because that first chapter was such a great hook. Like these are series that I think, had they gone in a different direction, could have been massive. Like they had all the seeds of a great series there. They sort of got messed up at some point. Am I willing to give Yozakura Family another chance? I don't want, never say never, man, but I really have zero interest in it. I'm sorry, man. I know people like it, but do I think Hunter x Hunter will end? Eventually, yes, I do. I hope Togashi sticks to like a decent schedule. Like I would not care if he took like half the year off. I would like Hunter x Hunter to end. I know he does too. The fact that he's coming back to it so strong right now, I really hope it lasts. And yeah, because that would be something to see. Especially if the anime came back, that would be fucking sick. So that about does it. Thank you all for following me on this long journey into Shonen Jump for 3 years. A lot of high points, a lot of low points, a whole lot of mid. But it was a very enjoyable journey. And yeah, I am tired. I just recorded 2 videos in a row. Gonna be increasing the frequency of uploads here for a little bit. We got a podcast coming soon. There's going to be a new guest. That's exciting. Final haul video is coming out. I actually filmed that just now. The Kaguya review. Yes, I am aware that Kaguya is over. Don't talk to me. And then when I launch the new channel, I will release a video here just explaining everything, giving you my plan. We're going to be cool. And then then the rest will be history. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see. Leave your thoughts on Shonen Jump history, whatever you want in the comments down below, and I will see you all then.